Last time on Factorio. And I wanted to get started on making the the Covarex enrichment process. I wanted to start working on that. Haven't done it yet. I'm still working at it. I'm trying to figure out all the logistics of it. Now, to make the rocket parts, I need 10 each of the rocket control units, low density structures, and rocket fuel. This is going to be a project as large as my main factory. And I signed up for this. I knew what I was getting into. I should not have a power crisis again. I say this, but somehow this is gonna fail. Okay, well, since last time, I've done a couple of things. For one, I did finish setting up this guy, like I said I was in the last video. And basically, is what I said it is. I've got a bunch of, well, it was supposed to be a bunch of steel chests, but there's some iron chests there as temporary because I ran out of the steel chests. But anyways, so it's a bunch of chests that just chain in a bunch of the dark green stuff, the 238. Hi. Hi. Hey. Sit back down. Cat in the face. Sorry, was I? Oh yeah, so these are filling up with the 238. I haven't set it up so the 235 comes in, but I'll deal with that later. It's not that big of a deal. I've got enough belt space right now that I'm not worried about it. Let's see. Anyway, so I've got this guy who gets fed the used cells. They get converted into the 238 and stores it in this chest, and then that gets pushed into here. I need to set it up so that this is its primary source right now. This one's still working. I'll just need to connect it to the circuit network. Again, that's something I can deal with later. I have it patched so it works. But anyway, so once this finishes, it dumps 40 of the... Is it 40? 41 of the bright green stuff, the 235, into this chest, dumps it into this chest. When there's finally more than 5 in here, I need to change this probably to like maybe 40. Yeah. Just so I can make sure that I have an extra set. So once there's greater than 40, it'll take whatever's left. Oh wait, I know why I set it to 5. It's because I don't have any extra right now. Set that back to 5. Once there's more than 5 extra, because it's only putting in 3 at a time, once there's more than 5 extra, this one will grab it and put it in here, and it'll get spat out onto the belt, and this one picks it up and makes more. It'll take it a little bit before it finally gets that up to that 5 extra, but once it gets there, I'll start producing fuel again. Okay, well, it doesn't seem like I've done much at this point, because I haven't actually laid anything out. I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do with the belts. I don't like how I've done this. I think I'm going to rip it out, change it up. Beside the point, though. So I have made Blue Belt ready production modules. I mean, I guess technically they're the rocket facility ready, but beside the point. So I've got my steel furnaces, or my steel production line. I've got my regular furnace line. Both of these produce 2 blue belts worth of material. Actually, the steel furnaces might only produce 1 blue belt, but I don't actually need too much for my for the rocket factory. So not worried about that, but this furnace array does set up. Here, let me go into the light. This one does produce 2 blue belts worth of material. And I need a lot of these to produce the amount of material that my factory will need. Let's see. That's too far down. Okay, so I've got blue belt worth of electronic circuits. And then this one is 1 blue belt worth of red circuits, which each side needs a blue belt worth of electronic circuits and a blue belt worth of copper cables. Or, sorry, it's not a blue belt worth of copper cables. That's 3 blue belts worth of copper cables. What did you guys get? What did you guys get? Anyways, and then I've got, this one's not a full blue belt worth of the production units. What are the blue circuits even called? Processing units. It's not a full blue belt of processing units. It's just enough to feed the factory. Let's see. Plastic bars. Yeah, this is a blue belt worth of plastic bars, and I need one of these for my red circuit factory. And then, let's see, low density structure. This is double what I needed for my science production, or my, actually no, it's quadruple what I needed here for my yellow science. My rocket control units. This is not a full blue belt worth of it. It's just how much I need for the amount I decided I wanted to make. And this is where it all ends up. And yeah, that's all the blueprints that I've made. It took me a little bit to plan those, and I don't like how I made these belts, so I'm going to end up changing this. So I'm going to start laying all of that out, and I'll be back once I do. Oh, right. So before I start on that, just remembered. So I did finally set this up, like I said earlier, so I have enough that I can have 40 left over, and I've started producing a bunch of it. It's been a bit since last we spoke. And I've also got it set up so that this guy won't start pulling from here until this is starting to deplete. I'm hoping that I won't run into power problems once I start getting this big factory built. I don't know how much power consumption I'm going to end up having, but anyways, now I'm going to go start plopping down my blueprints. Okay, so I've done quite a bit. So first off, this is going to be the amount of smelting that I require if I want to have the production rate of the rocket parts that I'm going to have. Most of this is copper. There's quite a bit of iron. And a tiny bit of steel. And quite a bit of plastic. My electronic circuits that I'm going to need. Which I ran 2 full blue belts of it directly into the advanced circuits, the red circuits. Just because I didn't want to mess with it. Like mess with busing those just to run them directly into there. If it backs up, it backs up. The rest of the factory should only require just the 2 blue belts. But I could be wrong, and I might need to reroute them. But I can deal with that later. I can reroute that later. It'd just be as simple as throwing in a couple of splitters and running them in. Back into here. But anyways, then my processing units down to the bus. So, low density structure. Getting run over to the bus over there. But anyways, so I've got these 3 running up over into the rocket silo. It's all blueprinted. But anyways, that's the size of this factory, by the way. Let me pull out on the map. So it runs from this power line down here, this power line and oil line, all the way up to this iron patch. Just shy of that iron patch. And that's what's producing the parts for the rocket silo. I could produce less and let it take longer. I have no problem with that. I just wanted to see if I could meet this challenge of producing a rocket as quickly as I can. But anyways, second part of what I've done, I'm just going to zoom in on it because, man, I don't want to run back. You just shut yourself in here, you stupid cat. You literally just shut yourself in here. I hope you can live with that. Anyways, so I ended up making the supply stations for all of this, and I made decided that I wanted it to be distributed. So I've got my coal up here on top, and then it runs lines of coal down to supply each of the train stations with coal so they can refuel here. Then I also have, let's see, 1, 2, 3 stations providing copper, and was it 4 stations with copper, 2 with iron? I forget. I have 12 belts of copper. That's this station, this station, this station. So 3 stations worth of copper, 2, 3 of iron, and 1 of coal. I keep zooming out too far. And yeah, I've got all of that set up. I'm probably just going to make a loop up here. So if anything comes in here by accident or one of these stations gets shut off, it can get pulled into a little roundabout that spits it back out. But anyways, I need to start putting all of this together. It's going to be quite a bit of crafting because I think this is around 1,200 furnaces. So that's 1,800 furnaces. Oh boy, that's a lot of furnaces. Well, I've got to produce that many furnaces, so yeah. That's going to be the biggest hurdle on this whole thing. Not the assembly machines, the furnaces. Anyway, so I'm going to start working on getting those produced. I'm going to get the rails laid out. I got to make more mines because I do not think that the 2 mines I've got here are going to produce enough ore to supply all of these furnaces. So I've also got to work on that. Yeah, I'm going to pick something and I'm going to get started. The first thing I decided to do was get my resource delivery completed. So what I did was I constructed all of the resource stops and set them up, and I decided that I was going to connect them to the circuit network to shut down the stops when they're full. I figure that way I can more easily redirect trains. So what I've got is 12 iron chests all hooked up to the circuit network, and then hook that up to a power pole. It sends the signal that there's 28k copper ore there. And then this stop disables when there is more than 28 copper ore. Oh, right, so it's disabled until this condition is fulfilled. And that condition is the copper ore drops under 28,000. And I have that set up. I have that set up for all of my stops. All of them. Hi. Oh goodness, that was a loud purr. Oh goodness. You're such a good baby. And let's see, have I done anything else? I think that's all I've done thus far. I mean, it's not like it's a small amount of work. And so also considering that, I did drop in a little roundabout at the end. So if suddenly, I don't know, let's say for example, this iron ore drop-off point fills up and there's a train trying to go there, this cuts off, well the train can be like, oh wait, I need to go somewhere else, comes around, goes to a different stop. This is actually just a one-way, so that might not be quite as feasible, but it will run all the way down, come back around this roundabout, come back up, and can go into a different iron ore deposit. Or iron ore drop-off, not deposit. Yeah, potato, potato. I'm running into... well, I'm foreseeing an issue when I start expanding my ore patches, but I don't know the solution to it. I'll try to deal with that problem when it comes up. Basically, they won't distribute evenly to each deposit or each ore pickup spot. I only have the one so far. Hi. Hi. Stop doing that. You're in my way. Yeah, lay down. Oh, not lick my phone. Lay down. But anyways, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Okay, so I've made some improvements to this module to get things to produce faster. So what I've done is I've upgraded these from Assembly 2 to Assembly 3, and I've also started pumping in a second belt of iron that drops in about halfway through to supply these guys at the end. Like, I am pulling iron ore off of, or not iron ore, iron plates off of this so quickly that even this one's not getting a chance to pull. But now I've got a full blue belt worth of iron gear wheels running through, so hopefully that keeps these guys supplied a little bit better. I also went through and did pretty much the same thing to these facilities up here, and I dumped in a bunch of speed module 1s into these guys. So again, to hopefully get that producing quicker so I can get a more solid belt. By solid belt I mean actually have more circuits on the belt. Because that's my current limiting factor, is the number of red circuits. And you go, I think I may have talked about this earlier, but you know, beacon and a bunch of speed 3s into this to try to get more assembly machine 3s produced. And I'm going to need more than that. Let me limit it to there instead. Let's see if I already changed this one. Yeah, I've already got that. Let me do that too. I'm going to need a lot of belts. What else? And say, I also need to, or I'm also starting to produce chemical plants because I need that for my rocket fuel, and I decided to just plug it in down here where my engines are since I'm producing everything I need. So I'm producing these. I'm probably going to work on that next. I've got 100. I think I'm going to need more than that to produce enough of the rocket fuel. And hopefully I produce so much of it that I'll never need to worry about that again. No guarantees there though, but yeah, I'm going to go work on that next. Okay, so I needed a lot more than the 100 that I originally had. Because I determined that the ratio was a 5-to-4 ratio. And, oh boy, this doesn't even fill this blue belt because I don't have enough petroleum to supply all of my solid fuel chemical plants. And, you know, I mean, it's not running too bad. I wish it could run better, but without expanding my refineries, there's no way that's going to happen. But at the very least, it's being produced well in advance of me actually needing it. So I'll have this blue belt completely backed up by the time I'm actually needing it. I don't know what I can do from here other than wait. If I figure something out, I'll cut back. So I noticed that I started having a power problem, and I attempted to fix it, and it looks like it's fixed. So what I've done is I went ahead and finished the entire blueprint, but I came here and I'm still worried that it's not gonna work. Like right now it's saying that I'm meeting all of my energy demands, but 8 nuclear reactors should be providing in the neighborhood of around 900 megawatts. And this only says I'm producing 300. Now it's closer to 200. There's something horribly going wrong here. And my little steam battery here is completely depleted. There's nothing left in it. And you'll also see that only like a third of one unit of these guys is actually turned on. So I'm gonna have to look into this problem. because I cannot expand my factory if I continue having power problems like this. So after quite a bit of research, I finally figured out what was going on. And this is such an obscure problem that I don't even know. I should have known it, but it's just something that I had never considered to be a problem. I've never actually dealt with steam issues like this before. Well, I guess it's not a steam issue. So, the best way to describe this is there are some issues with fluid dynamics in this game. So, what was happening was, even though I had all of these pumps supplying my steam engines were not fully producing. Or heat exchangers, not steam engines. Whatever. Same. I know what I mean. You know what I mean now. So, despite the fact that I had enough pumps to supply all of my heat exchangers, not enough water was flowing through the pipes to actually supply all of the steam or the heat exchangers. So I wasn't producing enough steam. So I've got that sorted, right? I've separated, well, why am I asking you guys if I've got it sorted? It's a declaration of fact. I have it sorted now. So basically, I've got all the steam engines on separate water pumps now. So the water is going to flow to all the steam engines. I keep calling them steam engines. Heat exchangers. Heat exchangers. Heat exchangers. So the water is flowing to the heat exchangers in the appropriate amounts. So the ratio is 1 to 12. I had that ratio down earlier. I had enough water pumps to supply all of my heat exchangers. Had the perfect amounts, but unfortunately, that's really not how it works. It was just, there wasn't enough pressure in the pipes, basically. Like, it was getting consumed up by the ones in the front, and the ones in the back weren't getting water. But it's all fixed now. So now, this set of 12 heat exchangers supply a single pipe that runs to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 steam turbines. It's a dirty ratio, but it's a ratio that works. And as you can tell, I don't have any one line of these steam engines overproducing like I did before. Like, going at full while the rest were turned off. That's what I mean. So, lesson learned. Don't overcombine on the fluids. So I might be having a similar problem with my oil. I don't think so, since all of my refineries. There we go. All of my refineries were working at capacity earlier. There's no red dots on them, basically. But anyways, now that I've got that figured out, I think this is a good place to call the video. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and have yourselves a very good day. Man, that was exhausting, but I am so glad I figured that out. Okay, so I'm good. I'm just talking too long. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye!